Will Nigeria become a problem in West Africa? Nigeria, will it become a problem for West African countries? Well, a Nigerian aircraft has been stopped by the Burkinabe government. Why? Because the airplane was flying over Burkina Faso without an authorization. What kind of aircraft? A C-130, which is known for its viciousness. Military airplane was flying in Burkina Faso airplane, and it was urged by the Burkinabe defense, you're going to land or we're going to blow you away. Let me just remind you here that Nigeria doesn't necessarily get along with Burkina Faso. I mean, matter of fact, these countries right here, you see these countries, ECOWAS, they don't get along with Burkina Faso. Now, why is your airplane flying over Burkina Faso? On December 8, 2025, a Nigerian Air Force C-130 transport aircraft carrying 11 military personnel was forced to make an emergency landing in Bobo Dioulasso. Look at the map. You see Bobo Dioulasso? Look how far this is. I mean, you may find excuses saying that, listen, I flew over here by mistake. Okay, or maybe something occurred, there was wind, and we found ourselves in your ground. Look at Bobo Dioulasso. Now look at Lagos on the map. Look at Bobo Dioulasso. Bobo Dioulasso is the second biggest city in Burkina Faso. Look at Lagos again where the aircraft took off. Look at Bobo Dioulasso. Look at how many countries. From Nigeria, you get into Benin. From Benin, you have Ghana, you have Togo. Then you have Burkina Faso up there. Or else you can go on the north. Look at the north. You can go into Benin and go through the north into Burkina Faso. Now, can this happen by mistake? Let me continue reading. It was forced to land at Bobo Dioulasso Airport in southern West Burkina Faso after allegedly violating the country's airspace without authorization. Let's put an emphasis to without authorization.
The Confederation of Sahel States informs the public that an aircraft belonging to the Air Force of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, a C-130 type, was forced to land today, December 8, 2025, in Bobo Dioulasso, Burkina Faso, following an in-flight emergency while it was flying in Burkinabe airspace. The military aircraft was carrying 2 crew members and 9 passengers, all of whom were military personnel. An investigation was immediately launched by the competent Burkinabe authorities, which revealed that there was no authorization for this aircraft to fly over Burkinabe territory by this military aircraft. The Confederation of Sahel States strongly condemns this violation of its airspace and the sovereignty of its member states. In response to this unfriendly act carried out in disregard of international law and of international rules governing civil and/or military aviation, measures have been taken to ensure the security of the Confederation's airspace, the sovereignty and territorial integrity of these same states, as well as the safety of the populations of the AES Confederation.
So the aircraft was there without authorization. Now, let me put it this way for you. A few nights ago, there was a coup in Benin. You remember? Some of the guys went to TV and said, listen, we are the new authorities in Benin. The president is out. He's no more president. We are tired of him. He's a dictator. He's enriching his own family and doesn't care about the people. Why? Because that president is pro-France, a great friend of France. Now, a few hours later, we saw the president come on TV and say the coup has been foiled. Everybody can get back to their stuff. The everyday life is back.
Finally, I would like to reassure you that the situation is completely under control and therefore invite you to go about your activities calmly as early as this evening.
What had occurred? I mean, you don't just pass on TV and say, listen, we've taken over, then all of a sudden you're out again. What's happened? The reality is the Nigerian government was asked to intervene. Nigeria sent aircraft, we're talking about fighter jet, to go and bomb where these putschists were located. They bombed the camp, they bombed the TV, they bombed the radio, so they can dislodge these people. In other words, had it not been Nigerian force intervening in Benin, the Benin situation would have been different. So Nigeria intervened in Benin without authorization. Obviously, the president of Benin asked Nigeria to get involved, but Nigeria intervened. Now, one night after the intervention of Nigeria in Benin, you found an aeroplane from Nigeria flying from Lagos all the way to Bobo Dioulasso. How come? Look at the map. How do you explain this? Look at Lagos all the way to Bobo Dioulasso. What was the aeroplane doing there? What does Burkina Faso say? Initial report from AES, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger claimed that the aircraft had violated their airspace and was forced to land. What is a C-130? You need to understand. A C-130 is not just any other aircraft. A C-130 is a 4-engine turboprop military transport aircraft designed for technical airlift mission. It is one of the most versatile, widely used military aircraft. What can you use this airplane for? Because it's important so we can understand. You can use this airplane for tactical airlift, like transporting soldiers, vehicles, supplies into combat zone so they can deliver stuff. You understand? It's not a flight that just fly. It's also a cargo. You can deliver supply to military stations somewhere. You can throw parachute. You can throw people. You can throw food, medicine, weapons. Now, you must remember Burkina Faso is fighting people, okay? Fighting people that are not necessarily lacked in the country. Burkina Faso is fighting people. I'm not going to say their names. Could this aircraft go there and do something negative? Would you be surprised that people think that the aircraft from Nigeria may have gone to Bobo Dioulasso? Look at the distance again. Look at Lagos, all the way to Bobo Dioulasso, to drop maybe things to the people that are fighting Burkina Faso. Did they go there for espionage? Question mark. I mean, we can understand this. Look at Nigeria. We can understand that the aircraft tried to go on the north between Benin and Burkina Faso. You see the border between Burkina Faso and Benin. Maybe we could have understood saying that, okay, the Nigerians went to Benin to help Benin, and all of a sudden, maybe while they were scouting, they entered by mistake into Burkina Faso. But how do you explain you leaving Lagos? So you have to go through all these countries. Do you see all these countries you have to go through? You live in Lagos, Nigeria. You go through Benin. You go past Togo. You go past Ghana. Then you go find yourself in Bobo Dioulasso. Look at Bobo Dioulasso. Look how far this is. This is very far. There must be an explanation. Okay? What is the explanation of Nigeria having its flight over there? I mean, remember a couple of days ago, Nigeria said to Donald Trump, we are a sovereign country. Do not bring your military here. You must respect our country. We are a sovereign country. When Donald Trump said we want to bring peace in Nigeria in fighting the evil people that the government has not been able to dislodge, people got very angry in arm. No, you're just trying to come and steal from us. Has Nigeria respected that? By going to do action in Benin. They say they were upholding democracy. As Nigeria respected people's sovereignty by now getting into Burkina Faso with the aircraft. What is the Nigerian account? How do they justify this? Nigeria said that shortly after takeoff from Lagos, the crew noticed a technical concern and diverted to Bobo Dioulasso, Burkina Faso, the nearest safe airfield. You hear that? Shortly after takeoff. I mean, look at the distance. Is this shortly? Look at Lagos on the map. Look at Bobo Dioulasso. Is this shortly after takeoff? Can't be shortly after takeoff. These are many hours of flight, right? Now, where were they going? Question mark. Nigerian authorities said that the aircraft had been en route to Portugal. Oh, en route to Portugal. For what? For a ferry mission before a technical concern which necessitated a precautionary landing. They're saying they were going to Portugal for a ferry mission. Going to Portugal? Look at Portugal on the map. Nigeria sending its aircraft with 11 people to Portugal for a ferry mission. What is a ferry mission? A ferry mission basically in aviation means moving an aircraft from one location to the other, usually without carrying cargo, passengers, or performing combat duty. It's essentially relocation or transferred flight. Let me put it this way. 2 nights ago, you were in Benin, okay? You bombed, created something, okay? Things changed in Benin, okay? Tonight, you decide to fly to Portugal. But how? Through a country you don't get along with. How do you explain that? 2 nights ago, you were in Benin to support, to bomb and destroy. Now, tonight, you are flying in Bobo Dioulasso, in the area where many terrorists are. And you got caught and asked to land by force. But the Nigerians say they had a technical issue. It wasn't by force, okay? It was a technical issue that forced them to land in Burkina Faso. Nigeria report that the crew is safe and receiving cordial treatment from the host authorities. This was reported by Hemem Ejodam, the Nigerian Air Force spokesperson. So, as we understand, Burkina Faso has treated these people nicely so far. Absolutely. Are you surprised? Burkina Faso is the land of the honest people, the good people. But in the meantime, they're conducting investigation. You need to explain to us, how are you going to Portugal coming by this way? Why didn't you go through Togo? Because we don't get along anyway. Why didn't you go through Ghana? Because you get along with Ghana. Why didn't you go through Burkina Faso? Or why did you fly over, I don't know, fly over Chad, go over Libya? Why do you go through our country? And then why don't you, look, we may not get along, but you may as well tell us, listen, we're going to be flying over your airspace, right? We're going to Portugal. Why didn't you do that? Now, that's what the situation is. Let me know how you feel about this. I think it's a big contrast from what they said earlier. You need to respect the sovereignty. Respect our sovereignty. We're a sovereign country. Let nobody come here and breach our nation. Why does this not transfer when it comes to Burkina Faso? Let me know how you feel about this. It was a great pleasure. God bless.